Christian Horner just walked into the Honda garage. No badge, no title, no team. And the one person he was talking to? The CEO of the engine supplier tied to the most broken car on the 2026 grid. This is not a coincidence. And here's exactly why it matters. By the end of this, you'll understand exactly what Horner was there to discuss, and whether Aston Martin's real crisis is the vibration or the leadership vacuum around it. His 9-month gardening leave had already wrapped up on April 9th, leaving him in a strange spot. No contract, no team, and no clear next move. Yet there he was, deep in conversation during the final practice session with Koji Watanabe, the CEO of Honda Racing Corporation, like something serious was brewing behind the scenes. And here's where it gets messy. This is the same Honda group scrambling day and night trying to fix an engine disaster that has dragged Aston Martin straight to the bottom of the Formula One grid. 0 points after 3 races, just one classified finish, and a brutal vibration issue so bad that Alonso literally had to take both hands off the steering wheel mid-race, at full speed. In China, chaos kept piling up, with a team principal who never even wanted the role, and a Honda fix that looked promising on Friday at Suzuka, only to get pulled overnight because it simply wasn't reliable enough to survive a race distance just days before Miami. So now Horner shows up in that Honda garage, and it raises eyebrows instantly. Let's break down how bad things really are for Aston Martin right now, because the numbers don't lie. 3 races, 0 points, and each one worse than the last. Australia was a retirement. China was dangerous. Alonso literally had to take both hands off the wheel at race speed. Japan, they crossed the line a full lap down, alone at the back. Cadillac, a brand new team, has the same points as them. Let that land for a second. That's the full picture of Aston Martin's 2026 season so far, and it's rough. They're sitting dead last in the Constructors' Championship, tied with Cadillac, the brand new team everyone expected to struggle. But Aston Martin down there? Nobody saw that coming at all. This is supposed to be a top-tier operation, backed by an exclusive Honda Works deal, Adrian Newey-level design expectations, and a cutting-edge campus in Silverstone. Even George Russell had said the car looked pretty spectacular during the Barcelona shakedown. But right now, that promise feels seriously off track. The gap between that early hype and what's actually happening now says everything. In motorsport, the distance between a car that looks impressive and one that can actually compete is where things fall apart fast, and Aston Martin is stuck right in that danger zone. The vibration issue is grabbing headlines, sure, but that's just the surface-level problem, not the real cause. The deeper issue is a brutal clash between the Honda power unit's combustion frequencies, the MGUK's electrical load, and the AMR26's carbon fiber structure, all fighting each other at once. It gets even more complicated. That 2-deck battery setup sounds advanced, but in reality, it makes tracking down the exact source of the problem way harder than it should be. This isn't something you magically fix in 6 days, and that much is clear. Shintaro's update from Sakura this week confirmed that Honda and Aston Martin engineers have basically been working non-stop since Japan, trying to contain the situation before it gets even worse. And the wording matters here, big time. He didn't say solutions or fixes, he said countermeasures. That's a huge difference. A countermeasure doesn't solve anything completely. It just reduces how bad the issue feels, while the real problem stays alive underneath. The vibration itself comes from a destructive resonance between the power unit and the AMR26 chassis, and fixing that properly would mean changing the core design of the engine. That's not easy. Those kinds of changes are either locked down by homologation rules or need FIA approval, which slows everything down. So what can Honda actually do right now? Quick adjustments. Better isolation between the power unit and battery, tweaks to how everything is mounted, and improved damping to soften the impact. And the most telling moment of this entire 2026 Aston Martin situation happened at Suzuka. Honda rolled out those countermeasures on Friday. Alonso completed 34 laps, and he said the car felt 80% better, with almost no vibration. That sounds promising, but it also shows just how temporary this fix really is. By Saturday morning, everything flipped. Those so-called countermeasures were quietly removed overnight because they just weren't reliable enough to survive an actual race distance. Alonso had no clue this even happened. He called the issue random, and from his point of view, he wasn't wrong at all. What worked in controlled conditions on Friday completely fell apart when it mattered, and that gap between short-term performance and full race durability is exactly where Honda has been under pressure for weeks. They've had 5 weeks to figure it out, but whether they've actually cracked it or not is something Miami's first practice session will expose instantly. Then there's the leadership mess, and it's just as chaotic. Adrian Newey, stepping in as Aston Martin's team principal, was never part of some grand plan. It was a temporary move, and not even a comfortable one. Andy Cowell stepped back after realizing their working styles just didn't align, and Newey himself has never been interested in running a team like this. His whole career has been about designing cars, not managing day-to-day pressure and politics. Meanwhile, Jonathan Wheatley, the guy expected to take over properly, is stuck in gardening leave from his Audi deal and won't be available until August. That leaves a massive 5-month gap where Aston Martin is being led by someone who doesn't even want the role. And the results are backing that up in the worst way possible: 0 points and just 1 finish all season. Behind the scenes, it's even more tense. Multiple internal sources have described a team where staff are seriously questioning whether the AMR26's issues can even be solved under the current rules. Officially, the story sounds clean. Newey focuses on the car, Cowell handles trackside operations, and everything is supposedly under control. But the version coming out of the paddock tells a completely different story, and the gap between those two narratives is huge, easily big enough to fit the AMR26 through, if it could actually complete a full lap. The big question hanging over everything is impossible to ignore. Can Newey really design a competitive car while also trying to lead a team through a full-blown crisis? The first 3 races are already pointing to a tough truth. The answer looks like no. Not because Newey lacks skill. That's not even up for debate. He's one of the greatest engineers Formula One has ever seen. But leading a team through a full-blown crisis is a completely different challenge compared to designing a fast car. And right now, Aston Martin doesn't just need brilliance in design. They need strong leadership at the exact same time, and that combination is missing. Now, Horner showing up suddenly starts to feel a lot more serious, and it matters for a few key reasons. First, the Aston Martin connection. Before the season even started, he was already being linked to the team as a possible team principal. Lawrence Stroll shut those talks down back in November. But that was before everything started going wrong. Before China, before Japan, before the scale of this mess became impossible to ignore. And as Sky Sports' Karun Chandok put it this week, if someone can help the organization win, damaged relationships get repaired. And that says a lot about how quickly things can change in this sport. Second, the Honda angle. And this one runs deep. Horner didn't just work alongside Honda, he built a strong relationship with their leadership over years of success. That partnership delivered 4 drivers' titles and 2 constructors' championships for Red Bull. The same Koji Watanabe, the HRC CEO he was seen talking to, is someone Horner has known and worked with for a long time. And right now, Honda is under serious pressure because of Aston Martin's struggles. Having someone who understands exactly how Honda operates, what drives their engineers, and how to handle that partnership could be a huge advantage, no matter what role he takes. And then there's the timing. This is where it really stands out. Horner's gardening leave ended on April 9th, and just 16 days later, he's already in talks with the CEO of the engine supplier tied to the very team he's been linked with. That's not the kind of coincidence people ignore in Formula One. It raises real questions, and it puts the spotlight right back on Aston Martin's next move. Whether this is all carefully planned or just a wild coincidence is something only Horner and Watanabe truly know. But in Formula One, almost nothing happens by accident. Every move has a reason. Every appearance means something, and this one is no different. Meanwhile, Mike Crack is out here saying Miami will be different, even claiming the whole vibration issue will be over. That's a massive statement for a team whose so-called fixes weren't even reliable enough to race just one weekend earlier. The reality is, Miami isn't about chasing points or fighting for grid positions. Not even close. For Aston Martin, the real goal is way more basic and way more worrying. Can both drivers actually finish the race without the vibrations becoming physically unbearable? That's the true benchmark right now. Not performance, just survival. The aero window that was supposed to unlock pace before Miami has now been pushed back until after Monaco, and those performance upgrades are still a long way off. And the numbers make it even tougher to ignore. The chassis alone is believed to be costing around 2.3 seconds in qualifying pace, with most of that deficit coming from the car itself, not the engine. That's not something you fix mid-season, no matter how hard you push. The only thing that might change in Miami is the vibration situation. If Honda's 5 weeks of non-stop work has delivered countermeasures that can actually hold up over a full race distance, and both drivers make it to the finish, that counts as progress. Simple as that. But if Aston Martin shows up to race 5 still dealing with the same core issue they had in race 1, then the pressure explodes instantly. And the Horner situation? That only gets louder with every race that passes without results, whether his future is with this team, Alpine, or somewhere else entirely. Miami won't magically fix Aston Martin's problems, but it will reveal just how deep this situation really goes. This is what really shows how deep the problem goes. 0 points after 3 races, a vibration fix that worked once and then got pulled the very same night. And a team principal stuck trying to design a car while barely having time to actually run the team. On top of that, there's a Honda power unit situation that's not just hurting performance. It's pushing drivers to their physical limits in a dangerous way. And right in the middle of all this, the man most linked to potentially fixing it all is suddenly spotted in the Honda garage. Horner sitting there at a MotoGP race just 6 days before Miami, talking directly with the CEO of the engine supplier tied to Aston Martin, is not something people ignore. This is a connection that's been rumored since July 2025, and now it's playing out in public view. Meanwhile, Aston Martin's situation inside the paddock isn't calming down. It's getting louder with every race weekend. The internal doubts about whether the AMR26 is even solvable at a fundamental level are still hanging over the team, and they're not fading anytime soon. That aero window everyone hoped would bring relief? Still months away. And underneath the engine chaos sits an even bigger issue: the chassis itself. That estimated 2.3-second deficit in qualifying pace is coming mostly from the carbon fiber structure, not the power unit, and that's not something you can fix with quick changes, rule tweaks, or a reshuffle in management. It's locked in and it's heavy. So what can Miami actually tell us? Not whether Aston Martin suddenly scores points. Not whether Newey's car has the long-term potential people expect from his track record. And not even where Horner ends up next. Whether it's here, Alpine, or somewhere completely different. The real question is much simpler and way more serious. Can both drivers complete a full race distance without being forced into moments like taking their hands off the steering wheel? That's the baseline right now. Whether this is planned or coincidence, Formula One never leaves things to chance. If Horner ends up at Aston Martin, the entire 2026 narrative flips overnight. Drop your prediction in the comments. Is he taking the team principal role, or is this something else entirely?